Welcome to Audacity Works, a podcast inspired by and dedicated to the working artist, the creative entrepreneur, and generally, doing the damn thing. This exists on the premise that the world belongs to those who have the audacity to believe that their lives have value. This is for you. Welcome to Audacity Works. I'm your host, Rachel Strickland, and this is episode number 149, and it's a buffet. Buffet episode. Happy September, first and foremost, my friends. Woo Corner is going to be coming out in the next couple of days, so I'll put a link to that in the show notes. If you're not already signed up, then why not? It's awesome. And after that, next week, the Audacity Project Cycle 29 will officially open to the public. If there's any spots left, there usually are. I'll be transparent about that. So it'll be the best place to find out about that as well. It's cold here. Okay, normal people wouldn't consider it. It's been 70 degrees when I wake up. I'm like, ew, it's September. It should still be hot, which it will be. Again, it's just a blip. I know most people are so excited for sweaters and pumpkin spice, and honestly, I love summer and the sweltering, swampy heat so much. My consolation prize that the seasons must turn and end is that then it's spooky season. So September is basically pre-October. I think a lot of us will agree on that. And yeah, consolation prize. Summer has to end, but at least now we can be ghouls together. To that end, I have absolutely no plans thus far. Totally fine with me. Anyway, let's get to this buffet. So a couple of weeks ago, I didn't have anything I was dying to talk about, so I put up a question box on Instagram, and I got several good answers. Not sure I can talk for 20 minutes on each of them, so that's what we use buffet episodes for, so that I can still get to these juicy questions and answer them at once. The first one is from my friend Anya, who asked me to talk about guilt when you have landed a contract and you end up not liking it. Let's talk about it. This is if you've ever done a study abroad program or even taken a vacation, and you're like, I am not enjoying this. I don't like this. I remember the first study abroad, well, I only did one. I did a study abroad program when I was 21. It's the first time I ever went to Ireland to study Gaelic, as they called it at the time. Now, I believe it is preferred to call it Irish. But I was studying that, or rather that was my guise for going to Ireland, and I spent over a month there. It was my first time being overseas by myself. And they actually warned us going in. They're take it one day at a time, take all of the experience, because some people put a lot of pressure on themselves and they think they should be having this wonderful life-altering time all the time. And they don't. And then they feel guilty as though they've squandered the opportunity. You can't squander that kind of an opportunity, just like you didn't squander the contract, dear Anya, just because you didn't like it. You earned that contract, and then you did it, and you're like, this actually sucks. I don't like it. You didn't do anything wrong, okay? That's good information for you. You're collecting very valuable data that you didn't have before. It doesn't mean you won't like future contracts, but it does mean you have an opportunity to collect some really good information for yourself and be in better service to future Anya, future artist you. So what about it did you like? Find the parts of it that you're like, now if it had all been like this, that would have been aces. Let's name those things. What did you like about this contract, if anything? And also, what were the parts of it that you just didn't enjoy? You're like, I don't like this. Is it a quote from Anne of Green Gables? That's I wish God hadn't given me what I asked for. It's not as good as I thought it would be. I looked for it online. I couldn't find it, but I've read it somewhere. But it's actually quite exciting to me when someone gets something that they want and then they're like, I don't like this. That's exciting. Because think of all the energy that went into getting that thing in the first place. That energy is now freed up because now you know yourself better. You're like, I didn't like this. I didn't like it. I don't want to do it. Super useful information. It's not a failure. You didn't waste it. You got good intel. That's what you did. And now all that energy that you spent getting the contract, you can now alter. You can alter that desire. And it's actually really important that you do that, because otherwise you just end up taking job after job. You're like, why am I unhappy? Why am I not satisfied? I vividly remember being on a gig. It was at a casino in the middle of nowhere in Washington State, and I was like go-go dancing. And halfway through, I'm like, this is the dumbest thing I have ever done. Like, why am I doing this? Oh, because like at one point, this was my absolute dream, to get like driven out to a venue and get paid to dance around in costume. Love it. Yesterday me loved it. Present day me did not love it. Like, I think I'm done with this. I don't want to do this anymore. I don't think there's anything else for me to learn from this. Very valuable, very valuable. So I will say congratulations, dear Anya, on not enjoying that contract, because now you have very good intel to use to edit your desires and what you next pursue and or magnetize to you. And then my good friend Kat asked me to talk about how to make a schedule for yourself when time has no meaning. And I was like, what's she talking about? I need to know more. And they said, basically, when you're the mistress of your own time, but you're a roomba when left to your own devices, which I thought was a brilliant metaphor. I can see it perfectly, especially knowing Kat as I do. And don't we all know that feeling when you're just sort of like wandering around your apartment or your house, like bumping into walls, like, what am I doing? I'm my own boss. What do I do? Excellent metaphor. Anyway, Kat was asking any tips on how to stick to that I will start at 10 and I will finish at 7 type of thing. Thank you, Kat. Very good question. Let's talk about it. So I'll be the first to admit that schedules are tricky things, right? They are sort of put up on a pedestal in terms of, grind culture, hustle culture. Like, we all have the same 24 hours in a day. No, we don't. No, we don't. So firstly, let's just take the schedule off the pedestal, because they should be useful as a tool. And that tool can only be useful if it increases your accessibility to engage with your life. I'll say that again. A tool is only going to be useful for you if it increases your accessibility to engage in your life. So the very, very first thing we need to do is know thyself and behave accordingly. So when you think about that lauded schedule that's been placed on the cultural pedestal, it's like, wake up early, do your morning pages, and then go for a walk, and then do some yoga. Now, that will work great for a lot of people, myself included, because I'm one of those irritating morning people. But taking the example of my friend Kat, I know Kat. Kat is not a morning person. This schedule would never work for them. And they already know that. That's why in the example they gave, they're like, start at 10, finish at 7, just as an example. So they are already taking their own nature into consideration. But I had to say it anyway, because I want all of you to know, if you do want to utilize a tool like a schedule, it has to be adapted to your accessibility needs. So if we can assume that that's being done, right? What is your nature? What is your chronotype? late morning person, early morning person, late night person. That is the opposite of what I am. I don't do anything pretty much after 5 p.m. If I leave my house for you to see you and it is after 6 p.m., I really like you. But lots of people that I know do their very best work late at night, like into the 2 and 3 a.m. Type of window. Unfathomable to me, but I'm not them. And if that's when you like to work, then that's when you should work. But more to the point, like how to stick to the choices that you do make. So let's say you do want to benefit from a tool like a schedule, and assuming that it does take into consideration how you work best. So if you've made that schedule, it is built around your accessibility needs, and you have a hard time sticking to it, there could be a couple of things going on there. One, schedules are imposed upon us from a young age when we start going to school. So if we haven't sort of dug that out of our brains, we might feel resistant to a schedule because it feels like someone else's authority being imposed on us. We may resent schedules and just want to rebel against them. And if this is the thing that's happening, my theory is that what I meant by dig it out of your brain is if you are viewing a schedule as something imposed on you from an outside source, someone or some cultural zeitgeist, like trying to have authority over you, the thing that hasn't been resolved in the brain is that you are the authority and you're the one that made the schedule. Like your inner child and the animal of your body might still be like, no, schedule's bad. I'm gonna do what I want. Fuck you. And that's valid as a knee-jerk response. But like the thing that hasn't actually been grokked in the body is that you are the authority. And you made the schedule, and you made the schedule to suit yourself and to pursue, like in pursuit of something that you value. And if that's not what's going on, then we might want to look at the thing that we're in pursuit of in the first place. Because if we've built a schedule for ourselves in pursuit of something that we don't actually want anymore, much like Anya's contract, no, we're not going to want to follow that schedule because we don't actually value the thing that we're in pursuit of. And the third possibility for what might be happening when it's hard to stick to a schedule that you yourself have created, and I think this can be true in a lot of instances where people have a hard time keeping promises that they've made to themselves, is because they don't believe that they themselves are worth that commitment. It's a self-regard issue. Like, you'd sooner die than to break a promise that you made to someone else. But a promise that you made for yourself, like, why bother? Why keep it? It's not like you matter. You see what I'm getting at? In that case, it's a self-worth issue, perhaps. And don't you think it's funny that they made sure, at least in my public schooling, to let us know what self-esteem was from day one. You're like, self-esteem and self-worth, blah, 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 blah. But never even once gave us any clue on how to actually have self-esteem. They told us it was important, and they told us we were special, kind of. But they didn't tell us how to have self-esteem and how to practice self-worth. And I think you'll agree, we have all been learning about that on a long timeline. And I wish I had an easy answer for you. I don't. It's an extremely complex human situation. So in summary, schedules. If you want to make a schedule for yourself, if you want to have a useful tool, it has to be in consideration of your accessibility needs, your chronotype, your sleep pattern, things like that. And that if you are having a hard time sticking to it, it could be many things, but the 3 that we've talked about here, it could be that you're rebelling against schedules in general because you don't want to be controlled. Another reason it might be happening is that you don't actually value the thing that you're in pursuit of, which gives you good information, good intel. And another thing that might be going on is that you don't consider yourself an authority worth keeping a promise to, which is a self-worth issue. That's my hot take on it. But thank you so much for that question, Kat, because I had a great time thinking about that. Now, the third question that I wanted to get to today is from my friend Michelle, who asked about if I would talk about building a sustainable art practice since art is infinite, meaning that there's no finish line. It's an endless mountain. And at some point, these are her words, at some point you progress beyond safe school showcases and events organized by others. Let's talk about it. First off, I want to just celebrate the fact that art is an endless mountain. There is no zenith. There's no end point. There's no period of time in which you're like, well, I made it. I made it to the top. There's no more art to make. I guess I'm done and I can die now. That point in art making does not exist. And I think that's pretty wonderful. There's always something else to do. There's always another way to participate in your culture. There's always another discipline to dig your fingers into. And honestly, to me, that's part of the appeal of working in the arts. But Michelle is absolutely right. If the way that you have been participating in your culture is by, participating in things that other people have organized, and the showcase at your studio, super valuable. I love a showcase, especially as for an emerging artist who is finding their voice. Or a show that's themed that takes submissions, and then okay, I could make an act around that theme, and then you do it. And yeah, at some point, if that's what you've been doing, you're probably going to get tired of it, not because it's not valuable, but because you did it already. What else is on the table? And the answer is a double-edged sword. In a good way, what else is on the table is literally everything. Literally all of it. And that's also the bad news. It's welcome, here's your future. It is the ocean. And that can be very overwhelming because of choice paralysis, which is why it's so great to do showcases and events organized by other people, especially in the beginning, because it gives you something to do that you did not have to invent yourself. And if you have found that you feel restless inside of that construct, it means that you are ready to do something else. And this is the part of being an artist for life, that it's a difficult skill to build, but an absolutely fucking essential one, if you ask me. And it is having a working list of shit that interests you. Things that you would like to do, ways of working that you're curious about, companies that you admire and would like to be a part of. And the skill that I'm talking about isn't making a list one time, right? Anyone can sit down and make a list, be like, all right, today I'm going to make a list of cool shit that I'm interested in doing. That's good, and that list will be useful to you. But the real skill here is a way of perspective. It is looking at the world as you move through it and seeing it not as stuff that other people are doing, but as possibilities that you might benefit from. So it's a perspective shift from seeing the world and the art around you not as a gallery, but as a buffet. Not a gallery, but a buffet. And if you have that shift in perspective, that skill allows you to collect things as a way of life. You're like, That is interesting to me. And to hold that spark of interest, that fascination as a priority, enough that you will write it down, enough that you will remember it. So that is the skill that I would encourage you to develop. It's just a little perspective shift between seeing the world as a gallery or seeing it as a buffet. As far as what thing on the buffet you choose to pursue, it will entirely depend on you. And I would encourage you to choose the thing that makes you feel excited and scared at the same time, because that's good juice. And sometimes, it doesn't exist yet, and you have to make it. Not always, but sometimes. Oh, if you have further questions on that, I'd love to hear it. Thank you so much, Michelle, for that question, and for everyone who wrote in. I love me a buffet episode because I get to talk about a lot of different things. So thank you so much. If you have requests for future episodes, you can reach me always on Instagram at Rachel Strickland Creative or on Patreon at Rachel Strickland Creative. Little reminder to pop over to the show notes, sign up for Woo Corner if you are not there yet already. This podcast is powered by Patreon. I'm going to leave all this in. I want to give a shout out to my patrons. Thank you so fucking much for being here, for supporting me, for trusting me, and for allowing and facilitating the fact that this podcast exists and myself as a creature exists like this. Thank you so much for sharing yourselves with me in this way. Until next time, my friends, look around you at the buffet and get a big old plate and eat up, hoes. Don't go back to sleep.